You got everything set, huh?
Hello, Jaggi Vasudev, sir. Before I ask my question, I just have to tell you that I was very impressed by your e-commerce website, which sells yoga merchandise. I think it's really cool. It's better than Flipkart and Amazon, and I hope that, in a few years' time, it will become the biggest e-commerce company.
No.
Yeah.
It's a conscious decision I have taken that our commerce part is done just to take care of a few things. Our commerce will never grow beyond the foundation part. I clearly made the distinction, there's Isha Foundation and there's Isha Business. And we have contained the business. In spite of enormous demand, we have contained the business because…
So it's very impressive, sir.
No, you should not be impressed by that. You must come and see what I do otherwise.
Yeah. So,
the real thing.
My question… I want to tell you that I was also very impressed by your commitment to rule of law that was evident from the discussions that we've had. In the same light, I just want to ask you that in one of the blogs that you have written in your website, you speak about women's entry to Shani temples. And there you say that, look, the reason why they shouldn't be allowed is because there are planetary forces and it's not good for women to enter these temples. In the same vein, I just want to tell you a little bit about the law on the point. There are Supreme Court judgments which say that if you make laws which tend to be discriminatory for women, it cannot be a justification that we are doing it for their benefit. That cannot be the justification for any law that discriminates against women. This is the law of the land. In that same vein, would you say that if that is the law of the land and you're committed to the ideals of law, then one, how do you justify that?
Yes.
And two, one more question, sir.
Let me say…
So just a follow-up question. The second part of the question is, in the same article, you also mentioned that we can control the impact of planetary forces on our life through inner engineering. What is inner engineering? Is it a program that Isha Foundation hands out?
What is?
What exactly is inner engineering? Is it something that you guys do and like only if you guys can tell us what is inner engineering, only then will we be able to, face the forces of planetary forces? What exactly is this concept of inner engineering?
Okay. We'll answer that. So right now, why don't you ask this institution, NALSAR, only if you tell us what is law, we will know what's the law. What is it?
I'm sorry, sir, could you clarify that? I didn't get what you just said.
No. You tell your institution in which you are, only if you trap us here for 5 years and tell us what is the law, will we understand what is the law? Don't we know? Well, only because you do not know, you have come here, right, to learn. Similarly, only because people could not figure it out by themselves, they have come. And only because it's working for them, they're coming in millions. Okay, you have 700 people here, we have 9 million volunteers working across the world. So, it must be working for them. So do not make these judgments and don't think it's very smart to simply make judgments for everything. You are a lawyer, you are not a judge, all right? So let's come to the question. See, please don't do these things. It is happening from both segments of people. What you like, boo, you shout and clap, please don't do that. For or against, that's not the way. The way to do this is, are we interested in knowing and enhancing? You ask a question as a way to enhance your knowing, not just to prove that you're smart. If you think you can prove you're smart, we will do something else to that. Anyway, you ask this question, I like the e-commerce, I know when you started off, I know when Joe is called, why he is called, we know what it is, I'm not that dumb, okay? When I sit here, when I just look at you, I know what you can ask, I will tell you. Let me tell you this, hello. When I trained teachers to handle inner engineering programs, now we have transformed the program in a different way, but at one time when it was very intense, I trained the teachers like this. Somebody walks into the hall, they settle down here today by themselves without being guided. You just see, I made a chart of the hall and said, see, if they sit here, if they sit here, if they sit here, this is the question they will ask. You just be ready. When he raises his question, this is what he will ask. 93 to 94% of the time, it's always right like that. People think they are free and they're asking questions, but If they sit in that place, that's a question they will ask. In any venue, not in any particular venue, just anywhere. This may not look logical to you, but life happens like that anyway. So, now when you start praising the e-commerce, I know why it is, it's not that you're appreciating it. I'm telling you, Isha Foundation is a foundation run by the volunteers. Over 4,600 full-time volunteers who are far more educated than you are, and over 9 million part-time volunteers across the world, giving their time and money and energy to make this happen. Why are people doing this? We are not promising them we'll take you to heaven. We are not telling you you will go and sit in God's lap. Why are they doing it? It must be done wonders to them, otherwise why will they invest their life in it? So without knowing anything, don't make conclusions. So are you the only one? Well, you can do it in so many other ways. If you knew how to figure it out, why would I be needed? You do not know how to figure it out, so somebody comes and helps. If somebody comes and helps, why are you helping people? You leave them with their problems, they'll be good business for a lawyer? Is that what you're talking to me? Please don't feed upon people's problems. People have problems. If you have a solution, it's good. If you don't have a solution, at least leave them alone. Now, about commerce, we have every day in the yoga center, the minimum meal is around 7,000 people per meal. On the weekends, it's 15 to 20,000. Whoever comes, nobody enquires, who are you, why are you eating here? Whoever comes, they're welcomed and they're fed, all right? And we are running 12 schools in remotest parts of India, which is the same level of education that one would get in a good urban school, and 40% of the children are first generation going to school. Over 9,000 children are sponsored fully for their entire education. And we have medical activity going on across Tamil Nadu in a big way. There are many other aspects which I don't want to go on listing. For all this to happen, it needs a certain financial thing. Now if I come to you with a begging bowl, you will say, why have you come to me with a begging bowl? If I earn my own money, you are saying, why are you earning your own money? What is the problem here? What is the problem? Only thing is, I have not come to you as a client. Is that the only problem you have? I want you to know, the people who are working in the foundation, most of them, some of them are here, they're doctors, engineers, accountants. They have quit top, high-paying jobs in their life and they're serving for free, all right? Thousands of them. And you have something against them, please. It's not about me because I don't do all that work. People are doing all that work, including the website and the commerce.
So just for the diversity of opinion, so that, as a moderator, I have to ask people from…
Oh, women's rights, yes. About Shani Shignapur. See, first of all, you have a misunderstanding that Indian temple is a place of prayer. Indian temple is not a place of prayer. I want you to know this. Different temples were built in different ways for specific purposes. Shani temple is built for occult purposes. Occult means, you know what's occult? What is the Telugu word for occult? What? What is that? What people call as black magic or whatever, you know? There are certain occult practices where if the occult practices are being done, women in state of pregnancy, in menstrual cycles, it could seriously impact their life. So they said women should not go. It was also designed that on a certain day, if the woman is in a certain condition, on a full moon day she can go, other days… These are prescriptions, these are not restrictions. These are prescriptions, these are not discriminations. These are done with a specific intent. Or, now that you're talking about women's rights, why don't you fight for the men's rights? In our temple, the Bhairavi temple that we have, men are not allowed inside the sanctum. Why don't you stand up and fight for that? I will tell you why they're not allowed. That temple is only for the women. Men are not allowed. Why? Is it a discrimination? It is not about discrimination, it is a certain dimension of life. If you go by this crude sense of equality, you will harm the woman immensely. There are millions of temples open to everybody. Suddenly, why discrimination will come in one temple? What are you talking about? This is not a culture which discriminated against women. There are more female deities in this country than male deities. Every village you go, there is an Amman temple, there is a Devi temple. And you think it's discrimination? These are very rudimentary ideas picked up from the West. You have not seen this culture, you have not understood the profoundness with which is run. Unfortunately, because of 15-20 generations of poverty, we've kind of mixed it up and made a mess out of it. That is a different matter.
So, before I move on to another person, and he'll probably be the last person, before I move on to you, are the people there done with that particular question, or is there any further question on that particular issue? I mean, for diversity of opinion, I need to choose somebody from here. So, I mean, unless you don't have a further point on the same issue, I'll proceed. So, could somebody please give him the mic?
Yeah. Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
So, yeah, so if Job has a follow-up, then please proceed.
So, this…
I can't help it. I mean, if he's not satisfied with the same issue, he should be…
All right.
This crude sense of knowledge that you're talking about is the knowledge that's coming from the Supreme Court of the country.
Who is speaking, huh?
So this crude sense of knowledge that you say is the knowledge that's coming from the Supreme Court of the country.
No, please understand. No, please listen to me.
Sir, you're still not addressing the point that who are you and I sitting here to make prescriptions for women and say that this is harmful for you, hence don't do it, or this is not harmful and you shouldn't do it. It's not up for you and I to do it. If it's harmful and they still want to do it, they are free to do it, right? I mean, you say that what people want to do in their bedroom, it's an individual choice. If women want to enter it, they want to enter it. Who are us to stop it?
You ask a question, please. You please ask a question. I'm not that dumb that a question needs to be explained to me. You ask a question.
So you didn't answer it the first time, hence I'm explaining
Okay,
it.
you asked a question again, let me answer this, right? The question is, who are you to tell the ladies whether they should go to this or not?
No, I'm saying they should have the option. I'm saying they should have the option.
So, I mean, just to give a similar example, sir, alcohol might be… Oh, sorry.
I got it. There are hundreds of temples in the country where men cannot enter. So if men say…
There's a history of discrimination.
That is a different matter. See, you're mixing up two things. There is unfortunate history of discrimination on all levels. That's a different matter. That has to be settled in a different way. But when a specific aspect comes, if you want to rule out all the subtler aspects of life and just say this is it. Anyway, let me tell you this. This I'm on camera, let me tell you this, okay? Supreme Court is there to interpret the Constitution. It cannot create a new Constitution. Doesn't matter what are the powers of the court. It cannot create a new Constitution. It is only there to interpret the law the way it is. Am I right? You're all lawyers? Hello?
That's debatable. That's debatable.
When you debate that, there is going to be lots of problems because every pressure point, people will apply. Every motivated group will push for their own laws. If you create enough ruckus, some new law will happen. This should not happen. It is essentially within the framework of the Constitution, everything should happen. In the framework of the Constitution, there are laws where there are public places and there are private temples and private places of worship. How it should be done there is left to them. It is for them to decide how it happens. Is it happening simply because of a discrimination against a gender? If it is so, it must be struck down absolutely. But if there are other aspects to it, if you think you cannot consider anything else, then it's ridiculous. It becomes ridiculous. It's like saying, don't I have the right to enter the ladies' toilet? What nonsense is this? Do you need a law? You just need sense that you don't go there.
Job, is your question answered? Or should
No,
I…
it's not answered, but that's
Then-
okay.
It's not answered. Shall we answer, Mr. Job?
okay, so…
I'm okay.
So there's a difference between a man not allowed to enter a woman's toilet and you using the same analogy.
I'm not saying he's not allowed. A man who is a man will not enter. That's all I said.
So that's a really
I think-
stupid
I think-
analogy
give it-
that you're
give-
saying.
give-
So,
we are discussing the question of women's entry to temple,
So
and you're
just one
saying the
second,
reason why
I'm
they're
sorry to
not
stop
allowed.
you.
1 second,
Yes,
Subodh.
I'm sorry,
please,
sir, you can continue with your
the
question.
problem, sir, Mr. Joe, you do not know the culture of this nation. You're talking simply activism
Yeah,
without
because-
knowing the
because I'm
culture of
Catholic,
this
right?
nation. Because in this country, in this culture, the idea of discrimination never arose. I want you to understand, even before other countries ever thought of even giving franchise to the woman, this country did not even debate whether women should have voting rights or not. It's simply there because in our culture we never thought so. So the discrimination, exploitation is there. I want you to understand, there is exploitation, there is no necessary discrimination. Exploitation is not just of the woman. Anybody who is weaker than you, people are exploiting, whether it's a man, woman or child. Why do you think everybody is beating the children? Just simply because they're small, not because they have a right to do it. So anything which is weaker than them, they are exploiting, not just women. Unfortunately, women have also been taken a much amount of beating in terms of exploitation. But do not misunderstand exploitation and discrimination in a fundamental way. Discrimination is a different aspect, exploitation is a different aspect.
I think, Job, we can agree to disagree here and let's move on. There's one last question we'll be picking up. Yeah,
Fine, so for the diversity of opinion, there's
we'll
somebody
pick on
that
from the
group.
back, there. Can the mic be given to him? Okay, so
there's somebody
can you
from another
take
group
and then
who
one
will
last
take-
question from the back?
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon. Society is celebrating legalization of homosexuality when it can't even accept intercaste marriages.
What?
Society is celebrating legalization of homosexuality when it can't even accept intercaste marriages.
See, the thing is…
And
I got it.
Sadhguru,
Yes.
being a science student, I have a small question.
No, let's finish this.
No, just something.
I thought one person, one question, I thought.
Yeah, it's small.
Can
Just-
we please answer
Yeah.
one by one, so then there's no confusion.
To maintain, in this evolution, to maintain the genetic variability, the sex or marriage should happen between different groups of people and different communities. But due to this intercaste thing which is in our society, the marriages are happening between the same community, that is the same caste people, which leads to the further species makes this…
We got the question.
Yeah,
please.
got it.
We got it.
And sir, you have done rally for Save for
No,
Rivers. and
leave that, please.
Please do remove this intercaste technique in this society.
Okay. So, this is related to Joe's question in a way, in the sense, see, we must understand this. Unfortunately, most human beings are in this condition. If they find somebody who are little weaker than them, they will see how to extract something out of them, how to dominate them, how to do these things. This is coming to you from your childhood, from your school, that you want to be number one, parents are telling you this, everybody is telling you this. So always want to be on top of somebody. So with this, if a blacksmith thinks, a goldsmith thinks a blacksmith is inferior to him, unfortunately, though a blacksmith's work is more useful than a goldsmith's work for making of a society. So like this, simple professional differences, we have made it into horrible discriminations in this country because this is an ancient culture, lived in the same place for thousands of years. People learned how to organize their exploitation against each other. They managed to organize this. So in this context, we must understand, unless human beings evolve to a place that you do not exploit other people's weaknesses, discrimination will not go. You can talk as much as you want, it will not go. For thousands of years, it's not gone. One thing about the caste system is, it was basically a professional division which turned out to be a very discriminatory process over a period of time. Now largely this professional division is going away because people come, now we don't know what caste you are, it doesn't matter, you're becoming a lawyer, all right? You're not a vakil kind of caste system. You something and you're becoming a lawyer. Somebody can become an engineer. So, this transference of knowledge through family systems are gone, so in that context, caste has become irrelevant. Right now, the caste still exists, much more strongly in the rural community than in the urban community, because that is the only social security most people have. Something goes wrong with my life, I can only go back to my caste people. If I go to somebody, they're not going to help me. So this is unfortunately the social security system that they have, which is exploited again in so many different ways. Unless we develop a universal social security system in this country that every human being has a net to fall back on, caste will not go. Once the universal social security comes, you will see caste will naturally die a death. You don't even have to fight it, it'll just go away. Once this social security is there for the human being, the reason why it's gone in educated and well-to-do people is because they have their own security. They don't have to go back to their caste. But the poorer people in rural India, for them the only security is their caste, their clan. You can only go back to your mama or your somebody else or whatever else. You can't go to a strange person and ask for help. So we have to make the society where every human being feels secure in the country. Only then you can remove this, otherwise you cannot remove. People are thinking this is just based on discrimination. No, discrimination is coming because wherever somebody is weaker, somebody is exploiting them. This is not caste, this is not gender, wherever, whoever they can get, they will exploit, all right? Why women and children take the beating is because they're little physically weaker. That's the only reason. Not because they're against the women or against the children, simply because we have still not evolved out of this, that we will treat the strong and the weak the same way. This has not come into us. This will not come because you fight something. This has to come by evolving the society, by evolving individual human beings, otherwise it'll not happen.
Thank you for the answer, sir. So the team has been the team has been literally signaling to us that we should have finished this about 10-15 minutes ago. That being said, there seem to be a lot of interested people who've been raising their hands up. If you're fine with some more questions, we can proceed. Otherwise, we can… It's completely your choice.
If you're okay, I'm okay, sir. You're the boss today.
No, so sir, it's your decision.
No,
sir,
you're the moderator.
They have been signaling…
If you
to
say
us
answer the questions, I will. If you say please leave, I will leave.
What we can do is we can take 3 final questions and then…
So I mean, from all 3 sides, like…
Can the mic be passed on to the back rows there?
Hello?
The back rows there.
I will pass
the
it
left.
on once I'm done with my question.
Where's